Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Noodles at Noon, the show that focuses on things that are not worth focusing on. I am your host, who started charging his laptop last night, which puts us at the ripe old percentage of currently being in the high 60s for percentage-wise, because my laptop is, 65% isn't really high 60s. We'll get through this episode, I promise. And we are joined, as always, by a man who is now a stay-at-home dad without any kids. It is Noah.
Hello, it's good to be here. It's good to be back in my home where I may never leave again. We'll see.
I'll come visit you. I'll bring you some casserole or something. How about that?
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. And this week we are joined by a special guest who has his very own podcast that we highly recommend you go check out because it's fantastic. It's Aaron from the Topic Please podcast.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. And I'm dropping stuff over here. Sorry.
That's okay. I drop stuff all the time. I don't know if you, right when I got on the call, I accidentally kicked my computer and knocked a whole bunch of stuff off my nightstand. You didn't hear it? Cool, good. That's awesome. Anyway, thank you all so much for listening. Thank you for checking us out. You can see more information and listen to more podcasts at noodlespodcast.com.
Noodlespodcast.com.
Or anywhere that podcasts are available, like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and coming to you live this week from the mall. If you go to that section where all the shops are closed, you'll hear the faint whisper of our voices. I think...
And they're the banners, like, a new exciting store is coming soon, but the banner's been there since 2013, and it's faded. And all those people that are smiling and holding shopping bags on the sign, they're all, they've turned green because the sign is just faded so bad.
Yeah, and you can see kind of like the outline of what used to be a Hot Topic or a Zoomies, and it's just not good. But we'll be there, I promise.
There's an abandoned headless Build-A-Bear statue out front. It's just getting more and more decrepit.
See, that just made me think. I love, driving and seeing a building that has been repurposed as something else. Like, I know we have some place that sells used cars here in town that used to be a Sonic. So they use the stalls to park the cars in. And I've seen an old Pizza Hut building that was now a real estate office or something.
That's the Sonic thing. Could you, push the red button and, someone will come sell you the car?
I don't think they still have the menu boards there, but...
Aww.
It was, I don't know, I figured it's, I guess, a good use of something set up to park vehicles.
Yeah.
So,
for whatever reason, this made me think, Noah, the college that your wife works at is building a new building, and for the life of me, I cannot figure out what it's for. Because it's
a Pizza Hut.
I hope not. Because it's the biggest building in the city that it's in. It's ginormous. And I'm like, well, it can't be a stadium because you don't have any sports teams. And I don't think it's administrative offices because why would you need a building that?
I think it's Jessie's new office.
I think so.
They're building it just for her.
See, now I'm thinking, does Jessie work at the same college I do? Because they are also building a new building and... it's we don't have a sports team. We're currently working on having esports. We'll see how that goes.
Ooh, whoa. I like esports.
Ben did a whole journalistic piece on esports one time.
I did. I played League of Legends with...
Did you play League?
I did. With my college's esports team, and I was very bad. I will add a link. I will send Noah a link to that to put on the website.
Yeah, it's a fun video. It's fun to see. People get so into it, and I think esports and particularly speedrunning is really, really interesting. Mm-hmm. I actually started attempting this morning my very first speedrun because I just got the new Metroid Dread, and I finished it already, but it took me about 12 hours to beat. And they have different rewards depending on how quickly you beat it, and really the ideal time, you'll unlock everything if you beat it under 4 hours. So I have to take 2/3 of my first playthrough off. So now I'm replaying it and just trying to speed toward, not getting distracted with all the extras and different routes I can go down, but just trying to get to the end.
Remove
I'll feel pretty accomplished about it.
Remove all joy from
until
actually
I go
playing it.
Right, yeah. No, all the joy of exploration, all the joy of just taking your time and enjoying the scenery. No, none of that. Just skip the cutscenes, skip everything. Just got to get to the end. And I'll feel really good about it until I go watch one of the actual speedrunners. And I think the current record right now is around an hour and 30. Like, people just optimize stuff to amazing degrees in esports, whether it's speedrunning or like League, different kind of MOBA games.
Well, you said that, and
it's crazy.
I was like, who has the time to do that? And then I was like, well, I guess if you do it fast enough, you do have the time to do that sort of thing. And I mean, yeah, that's interesting. I don't play video games like that, like story video games. So as soon as I figure out how to speed run my baseball video game, whatever that means, I will let you know.
Let's see, what's the speed run for MLB The Show?
There's not really a mode that you can speed run.
Is there a career mode?
Well, yeah, but even then you're kind of, I guess you could just hit sim through date and it will sim through the season for you, but even then you're kind of just at the mercy of how fast that simulates.
All right, it says that for an exhibition game, the current speedrun record is 12 minutes, 34 seconds.
I could probably beat that. Wait, is that like head-to-head, like two people playing each other, or you versus the CPU?
I think it's just versus the CPU, I'd imagine. So do you just like strike out and then try and get one hit at the end, like one run at the very end?
What I imagine is you purposely try to create, like you pitch as fast as possible to the other team, like throw strikes to just try and get them to ground out. And then you try to like hit one home run or score one run, and then you just bunt the rest of the game. Which again, takes all the fun out of it. What's the point?
It's not about fun. It's about speed. You gotta get up there. What about you, Aaron? Do you have any experience with competitive gaming?
I don't really. I mean, I like playing the games for fun. I like watching some of the videos of the people that do those speed runs because it's kind of interesting. But I'm like, I don't have the time to teach myself like all these little weird tricks and glitches to, make that happen and be able to do it. Like, I don't want to mess with that. I'll just run through it the regular way and play it how I want to. Here a couple of weeks ago, I played through the first 4 Super Mario games, Super Mario 1, 2, 3, and Super Mario World, like in a weekend, just because I could. I mean, I knew where all of the, extra things were to get through it a little bit quicker, but I mean, I wasn't going like these speed run strats that people do. I was watching one on Super Mario 64, and it's like there's so many different categories that they have for, if you do this like backwards long jump thing. I'm like, yeah, there's no way I even have the time to try to figure out how to do that. I don't know, they put so much time into it and figuring those things out, and I'm like, that's just a lot of training for it I don't want to do.
It's one of those things where you have to spend time to be able to do it quickly. And like there's an old
people spend hours.
Yeah, there's
days.
an old Abraham Lincoln quote that like he wrote a letter and he said, "I apologize for the length of my letter. I would have made it shorter, but I didn't have the time." And like just that idea of like you can do something quickly that'll be longer than if you did it. Like you learn how to do all the stuff to make things shorter, but that takes a long time.
I have to show you, Aaron, since you can appreciate Mario 64, and maybe you saw this in the Discord, but my coworker painted me the Bomb painting from Super Mario 64, like the first painting you jumped into.
Nice.
So this is going up in my office now.
Have you tried jumping through it?
That's pretty cool. I have tried. It didn't work. It did not take me to another dimension. So little disappointed, but we'll take what we can get here.
Aaron, tell us a little bit about Topic Please.
Topic Please. Me and my wife, Liz, we pick a different topic every week, and we just sit down and have a conversation about it and see where that conversation goes. It usually starts on a topic and then ends on something maybe somewhat related or maybe completely different because something, made one of us think of something else. But it's a good time, and we figured, we have these random conversations at the dinner table. We might as well let people listen in and see how crazy we really are.
It's always a brave decision to let people see just how crazy you really are.
That is true. We've lost friendships over this podcast.
We have. We don't talk about Michael anymore.
I almost scored Michael for a quick appearance on this episode, but
Did you?
It didn't quite work out. I think in the near future, though.
He's a very busy person.
Very busy doctor, off doctoring all the people.
He's doctoring documents.
Yeah, after he moved, one day I was at work and he was like doing a watch party of Alien. I was like, aren't you supposed to be busy and not have time for this stuff? You're going to sit there on Twitch and just watch a movie. Let people join you watching this movie. So,
I mean,
that's a good movie, though.
If you factor in all the stuff, because like we have an hour-long podcast, and then like 20 minutes before, maybe we'll be talking about stuff, and then 20 minutes after, that's almost 2 hours. So it's basically like a movie-level commitment.
It's about the length of Alien. Yeah. It's like
well, that's
watching
what
a movie
I was
every
thinking,
week.
though. I was like, he could have been recording with you guys during that time. I mean, granted, you were probably at work at that time and not able to record, but
yeah.
Michael, speak
pick a
pipe in
different
and
movie
defend
time.
yourself.
Yeah. Speak pipe question of the week. Michael, defend yourself. No one else is allowed to defend Michael.
Ben, what's been, in typical topic please fashion, we've gone from one topic to another, but Ben, what's been going on in your week this week?
Not much has gone on in my week this week. I gave like the lesson at a youth group for the first time ever. Like not that I preached, because I wasn't really preaching, but I talked to a bunch of kids and was like, Bible.
Read it.
What was that?
Read it.
Yeah. Not really. I didn't necessarily tell them to read it. I used basically the entire Bible during my lesson and just made them read it then. But one of the more interesting things that happened to me this week was I went bowling, and it reminded me of the last time I went bowling, which was over a year ago. And I was there, and all I could think of while I was at bowling alleys was how did bowling alleys survive? Because it's not like in my mind, or I thought they were like making bank, because they get all their money from charging people to wear a different pair of shoes that they don't necessarily have to wear. And then true. Like the pandemic hits, and like the bowling alley that we went to, like it has laser tag, it has an arcade, it has a bar, it has food and all that stuff. The one that Noah, Michael, and I went to. But then this one that I went to the other night was just a bowling alley. And I was just like, why is bowling still a thing that we as a society has deemed necessary? And if so, why? So I was just, I don't know,
point.
Hoping to get your guys' input and feedback on the necessaryism, whatever the word is for bowling. How necessary is it?
See, I don't know.
Got it almost to 2022.
Like I don't go bowling very often. When I do, I have fun. But I mean, the whole time I'm thinking I do way better on Wii Sports or Wii Sports Resort bowling than I do in person. But I mean, I remember when I was growing up, like we had this bowling alley. It was pretty much just a bowling alley, but they did Rockin' Bowl, or some places call it like glow bowling, where they bring out the black lights. You just rent a lane for an hour or two. That's a good time. But like that's where like we would all go hang out on Friday and Saturday nights, and go do stuff. But yeah, it's not something that I see as a necessity. But I mean, I guess there's a lot of people that might that's just what they enjoy to go do and chill out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see the stats, like the generational stats on bowling. Like how many people our age are in bowling leagues? Like, probably not too many. Like in our parents' generation, maybe. So is it going to die out with the generation? Or as we get older, are we going to become more and more infatuated with bowling until we inevitably join a league?
I think it might be one of the things that comes with age. Like everyone, like no matter what, at some point, white New Balances become appealing to dads. It's not a generational thing. It's just at some point they will become appealing to us.
Did you listen to our episode a couple of weeks ago, Ben?
That's what I was wondering too.
I didn't actually. Is that what it's about?
Well, we talk in there about how
talk about it.
Like, that's supposedly a thing. You become a dad and you start wearing these New Balances and dressing and acting a certain way. I'm like, well, I didn't do that, but it's like this stereotypical thing that people see. Whether it's true or not, it's just kind of, well, this is what I envision when I think of a dad. Like, this is what I think, even though that's really not how it works.
Well, then maybe it is a generational thing. But I don't know. So, like, I enjoy bowling. And if someone's like, hey, Ben, you want to go bowling? I'll be like, sure. But I am hardly ever the initiator of bowling activities.
Right.
Right.
Like, if someone offers it, I'll be like, yeah, let's do it. But
see, I'm now just remembering that my high school had a bowling team you could join. I don't know if they did. I guess they did competitions and stuff, but
my college had an esports team, so...
Yeah, this is what I'm thinking is like, Ben, you and I, when our kids are adults, they're going to be like, man, is esports even a thing? Like, yeah, my dad was really into esports, but I don't know. I don't know anybody that's into it now. We're all into
bowling.
Yeah, it's just going to
come back around.
By that point, like a lot of these super physical sports will be back around, but it will all be in VR.
Yes.
Like that way, well, you don't have to worry about the injuries and, the extra insurance and everything because it's all virtual.
My arm was hurting by the end of the 2 rounds of bowling that I bowled.
But in VR, it's so much easier.
It is. Like with the Wii bowling. But is there like a certain satisfaction of knowing that you actually physically knocked down 10 pins, or in Noah's case, 6 or 7 pins, versus digitally doing it?
Well, see, if I ever bowl a strike in, person, like in bowling in real life, I mean, that's pretty cool. But I mean, I can do it a lot more on, Wii Sports. But I try to do,
why not do that?
The whole spinning thing, when I'm actually holding a bowling ball, and it just doesn't work the same way that it does on the Wii.
That's true. I'm a spinner. That's why I can't use this arm today. Because I spun a bowling ball too much.
Spun too close to the sun.
I spun too close.
On Wii Sports, like I'll move my guy like all the way over to the edge right next to the gutter and spin it and get a strike like 8 or 9 times out of 10. But I can't do that in person.
Do you ever do the thing where you throw the Wii bowling ball backwards and then everybody like freaks out and jumps up and down?
Yeah.
My friend Elizabeth did that yesterday.
I say that I've never done in person.
Yeah, she did it in person though.
Was it intentional or?
No. Elizabeth, speak pipe in and defend yourself.
We're just going to call people out and make them defend themselves.
Yeah, I'm calling out my coworker Elizabeth because she bowled a 38. And yeah.
Got to start somewhere.
So I'm lucky to get over 100 bowling in person.
Oh, yeah, I've never hit 100.
I'm horrible. I think I've done it once.
What did I bowl the last time we went, Noah? Was it 156?
No, it was like also about 100.
No, it was
maybe 120.
The last time we went bowling, it was because before then, my personal high was like 130 something, and I beat it.
I definitely don't think it was in the 150s.
Well, I just dropped my phone. Do you have a picture from the event?
That's what I'm looking at now.
I would have a better chance of hitting 150 playing mini golf.
That actually, well, let's see. I don't know. Max stroke is 6 times 18. Yeah, you could do that. Yeah. No. That'd be 108. So if you could get 150 on mini golf, that'd be arguably more impressive.
I just have to go for 36 rounds instead of 18.
That's true. Jesse and I went to Did I talk about the glow in the dark golf course that Jesse and I went to a couple weeks ago? I don't think I did. We went down to Denver, location reveal, because there was this glow golf place that I used to go to growing up that was really awesome, and it was in a big mall, and it had rooms and rooms of different courses, and it was really probably the best glow golf course I've ever seen. And we went to the mall, and that one was gone. But there was another one that had opened up like right next door, and it looked like it was like a different company, not affiliated with the previous one. And half of the course, or half of the building, was a golf course of 18 holes, and the other half was a glow-in-the-dark sand pit, just like in a mall. I'd never heard of this before. Have you guys ever seen this?
Huh.
It was literally just a pit full of sand that you could drop your kid off for a few hours. Just let him play in the sand. And I don't know, we thought it was kind of strange because it's in a dark room, and the mini golf is all like haunted themed, so it had like all kinds of scary animatronics and things that jump out at you. But then the other half is like a happy little kids play sand pit. So next time you need something to drop your kids off at, check out the sand pit at the mall in Denver.
Just let the kids run around on the courses. Let them be the obstacles that you have to golf around.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Have to sign a waiver for if your kid gets hit or something, that they're not responsible.
Yeah.
That would work, except there was literally no one there. Jesse and I were the only people in the place the entire time. But
I'm texting
it may
Michael.
draw in more people if that's like the lure. Like, you get to hit kids with golf balls if you come to this putt-putt place. Like, that might lure in more people.
Right. I know lately we've had on our next door and our neighborhood Facebook group, people posting videos of these teenagers going around smashing everybody's pumpkins and stuff. So I mean, maybe tearing up something of somebody else's, whether it's a pumpkin or a kid, would be something that got people to show up.
What is okay? Because I've often wondered this. Because I've already seen people, well, I say already, I mean, like a couple weeks ago, I was seeing people putting out their jack-o'-lanterns, and then I would come around a couple days later, and they'd already be rotten. What is the correct day to put out your pumpkins for Halloween?
I would say probably maybe the week of Halloween. 3 or 4 days before. But I mean, we've had some pumpkins, like when we've done it, that they seem to last for quite a while. I think it might have been in the cooler years, so that might play a role. If it's going to be hot, then they're probably going to rot a little sooner than, if it's down in 30s, 40s.
Fair. Good point.
Yeah,
No
I guess
rebuttal.
it's all weather dependent. Rebuttal. I agree. I have nothing to argue. Yeah,
Well,
I'd say like the time this podcast goes out, this is your reminder. Put your pumpkins out.
Yeah,
Take your pumpkins out there.
Get all the gunk out of it. Put a candle in it. Set it on your porch.
Roast pumpkin seeds. And if you're not planning to do that, send the seeds to me. So I
right
can
next
roast
to
them.
it, take another pumpkin. Don't carve it into a pump or a jack-o'-lantern, but cut the top off and take all the stuff out, but fill it with cement. So when someone comes and tries to kick your pumpkin, they just kick a bunch of cement. So,
and make sure you hide a camera so that you can catch them hurting themselves trying to kick your pumpkin.
exactly. That's what
Put
the
it in front of
holiday
your
is all
Ring
about.
doorbell.
Yeah. That's all I have for when I was talking about bowling. We may have gone a bit off topic.
Aaron, do you have any weekly updates?
We could use jack-o'-lanterns and bowl with those.
Ooh,
Could carve it into a
that's a good
bowling
one.
ball. Bowl
Do you
with
take
that.
the stem off or do you leave the stem on?
I don't know. Maybe it depends on the shape of the pumpkin. And if
I'm
it's
gonna
one of
get a
those
good
kind of
round
tall
pumpkin.
oval ones, then I don't know that the stem would make too much of a difference. Might throw off the weight a little bit.
I texted Michael and I asked, "What did I bowl when we went for your birthday?" And he says, "I don't remember your bowling score from a year ago." And then I
So
asked,
inconclusive.
inconclusive. Then I asked, "Do you have a picture?" There is a debate. He says, "No." And then he says, "It was probably either 69 or 420."
Um,
What do those
the best
numbers
bowling
mean?
score.
Why those
six-
numbers? I don't get
Why
it.
those numbers? You got to live
That
in a
sounds
life.
like a good topic for topic, please.
Yeah.
The origin of these numbers.
We'll actually talk about numbers later, but Aaron, do you have any weekly updates?
I don't have a whole lot going on. Just been busy with work and teaching. But I know recently here in the great state of Missouri, there was some issues with a reporter supposedly hacking, depending on who you listen to. That
It was not.
it's an interesting, I don't know, news story that I'm following, because I don't know 100% how this person got this data that shouldn't have been there, but I feel like if it was done how I think it was probably done, then the developer should have just been a little bit smarter about what they had available. But I
And
find
not
it very
put people's
interesting.
social security numbers in the code.
Yeah, and I'm hopeful that somehow they'll kind of go through and explain at least for sure what happened, like how this reporter found the data. Because one side saying, "Oh, well, this is this multi-step process." It's like, well, yeah, but right-click, view source, that's multi-step.
It was anyone who has their password as password. It's that was probably how. Anytime I try to hack somebody's information, I just guess password. Works 9
Like
times out of 10.
password twice.
No. It's like if I click password and then I type in password.
Oh,
Password.
Gotcha.
Um,
Well, we need to have an official developer panel, the Noodles developer panel. We get me and you, Aaron, and we'll get Chivalry Bean on here, and
We could have,
all of us can give our official developer
you could
perspective.
start like a crime podcast, like a true crime podcast, but you're trying to
It's like
figure out
hacking
the
Cyber
coding.
security.
Yeah.
That would actually be really cool.
I think I
All
just
right,
wrote
Noodles is
myself out
over.
of. I just wrote myself out of a podcast. 'cause
Noodles
I
at
don't
Noon
do
is
that
over.
stuff.
What is the name of the field of forensics that would deal with that? I can't think of. I know there's something forensics or forensic something that deals with the crime aspect of figuring out
The
some of these things.
cybersecurity, cyber division. I don't know.
I know there's a term
Computer
for it. I can't think of it.
forensics, cyber forensics. I don't know. That would be an interesting field.
None of those
I
sound
am
right.
interested
but
in hacking.
I know there's some sort of cyber crimes thing that deals with that kind of forensics. Digging into the computers, and maybe it's data forensics, but that'd be a lot more stuff. I don't know. But yeah, kind of
Well-
going in digging into a hard drive that somebody thought they wiped and finding where the stuff still exists, because it takes a lot more to completely wipe a hard drive than what a lot of people
Right.
think.
You have
That's
to
why I-
destroy it with a hammer.
That's what I
pretty
do.
much.
Yeah.
Right? I know we have a computer recycling place or electronics recycling place here in town that they have a shredder, and they just completely shred those things. I'm like, well, there's no way anybody's getting any data back out of that. And if they do, then they need a job that pays them a lot of money because they can
They deserve it. If they did it, they deserve it.
It's like those people that hack like the NSA and then get a job working for the NSA or something.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if you can do that, then you're with us.
Bounty hunting.
Facebook has a deal like if you hack Facebook, they'll give you $500 or whatever if you show them how.
Hack bounties. That's a real thing.
Yeah, well, I know that whole reward idea. It makes me that like with the hacking thing here in Missouri, the governor's talking about going after the person and doing everything legal to like investigate and prosecute them. It's like that doesn't sound like an incentive if you found a big problem on a government website to let them know. Because this reporter did, in fact, let that group know. I mean, it was Desi. I'm sure people listening may have heard about it. It's in the news. But, they said, hey, you guys have a big problem. They allowed them to take that tool down that was the problem. And then they ran their story. It's like they, made sure that, they didn't run the story. And that's how, Desi found out they had a problem. So I don't see what the huge deal is. But now it's like, oh, I found a problem on a government website, but I don't want to get prosecuted. So I'm not saying anything to anybody.
Until someone malicious figures it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's much worse.
Or worse, a journalist. Ben coming in hot with his journalism degree. It's funny when you brought that up. I was thinking about it because that's the sort of thing that we would talk about in one of my media ethics classes. Is just like, what's the right thing to do? And I feel like telling the government agency first before you run the story. I feel like, as far as ethical things to do, that's probably the best decision. Because, like, the government will always be like, or the people who are, I don't want to say at fault because of it, but, like, they're never going to want you to run the story.
Right.
So they'll be like, oh, thank you for letting us know. Don't run that story. But, like, that's what we're here to do. Like, we're here to run that story. We didn't have to tell you that there was a problem.
Right.
But I think, I think that's a greater protection. Like what Noah said, so someone malicious doesn't figure out, is to tell them first and then be like, also, here's the story.
Right.
You have a vulnerability. You need to fix it now. Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, if they had ran that story, then people would have seen it and been like, oh, well, I'm going to go farm some social security numbers and make a bunch of money on the dark web.
Yeah. And it's not
that's what I did.
It's not like they got a cease and desist. It's not like they got a cease and desist from the law enforcement in the area. So, yeah.
Right. I mean, it was kind of a, hey, we found this problem. We're going to run this story, but we're going to give you time to fix it first. Mm-hmm. Or at least make it, take it down so people can't get to it before we tell people that there was a thing. So, I mean, every certified teacher in Missouri is in that system. So, I mean, they have the right to know that there is the potential for their information to have been compromised.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from what I can tell, it looks like that, they didn't get compromised. But that way, somebody could say, hey, you might keep an eye on your credit report, change some passwords just to be safe, keep an eye on things.
Yeah.
Always change your passwords.
Always change your passwords.
Good rule for life. Anytime you think about, I should change my password, change your password.
Noah is no longer able to get into my email. He was for a very long time, but...
That's right, I didn't know his password. Back in like 4th grade or whenever. Well, we do have some reviews and feedback this week that we could talk about real quick.
Noah, did you have a couple update?
Of... Mine was the golfing thing.
Oh, that's right.
For the sake of time, we can keep going. So we have a message from the Brian Stanley from the Journeys of Scientists podcast. As a reminder, the SpeakPipe question last week was me just asking, what should I do with some time off between jobs? Like, what should I do? What would you do if you had some time off? And we have this message from Brian.
Hello. This is an automated message from not Brian Stanley. I believe that Noah, during his 2 weeks unemployed, should book a nice flight to Michigan and visit none other than the Stanley man. Noah has been talking about wanting to travel, so what better place to go than Michigan? There you can take a nice hike, also known as a walk, ride a horse, play volleyball, go to Holland, or start a fire in Brian's kitchen with him. Do it, Noah. You won't regret it.
Okay.
This was not the Brian message. This is the anonymous message from any random person. But I like the idea.
Was that the wrong one?
That was the wrong one, but that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want me to play the right one?
Sure, and then we can talk about them both.
Okay.
Hi, Brian Stanley here, and I just came with a very important message. First of all, I want to get this out of the way. Michael did not pressure me in any way to make this speak pipe. Just like Daniel didn't try to pressure any of you into saying that you actually live someplace that's not Fairbanks, Alaska. Clearly, the last episode, that was all a joke because clearly, I know you guys, you live in Fairbanks, Alaska. It's cold.
Yeah.
That's where I'm from. It's
Yeah,
very
yeah,
chilly.
yeah.
Chilly willy.
Chili Willy.
So anyway, first of all, I just want to say, Noah, congrats on now being unemployed for 2 weeks. On your break, I think it would be super cool to see Michael while he's gone because, he's very busy and sad and stressed and all, because med school is a very stressful time, saving lives. It's draining.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe one day you could commute from Fairbanks, Alaska to see Michael in Anchorage, Alaska, and it would make him feel really good. And whenever Michael's happy, I'm happy. So that's why that's all I have to say about that. So thank you for bringing joy to me in this wonderful podcast. I have about 20 seconds left in this. Thank you and good luck. Say no to drugs. Hugs, not drugs. Okay.
Hugs, not drugs. So Noah, how do you feel about that?
It sounds like I have a lot of traveling to do. I'm also really glad that Brian specifically specified that Michael did not pressure Brian into making that message. It sounded very much like Brian thought that up on his own.
Yeah, very, very earnest, which is important.
But what's funny is a few hours before Brian sent that message, I was at work and I was thinking, I should go visit Michael in the next weekend or two. And I really did think that before Brian sent the message. But then Brian sent that message and then I was like, well, now Michael's going to think that I'm only going to come see him because Brian wants me to. But it's on the calendar. November 6th, I think. I'm going down to hang out with Michael. So that'll be a fun day. Yeah, do you want to come?
What day is the way of month is that week?
It's Saturday.
Oh, okay. I think you should go to Michigan as well, because it sounds like in Michigan you can go to Holland.
I was wondering, is that the Holland?
I think Holland with their lovely.
You could try out the wooden shoes.
Yeah, I was gonna say with the lovely wooden shoes that they have in Holland, Michigan.
So it sounds like, I think you mentioned this last time, Ben, that you thought I should do some traveling. It sounds like I have lots of traveling to do. I'm going to go to...
Yeah.
I'm going to go visit Michael, go to Michigan, go to Holland.
Holland, Michigan.
Or
which I think is something we've
Netherlands
talked
one.
about on this podcast. We've talked about Holland, Michigan.
Have we?
Yeah.
I think so.
I'm almost certain.
I remember
What
hearing
happens-
about it on a podcast, so I would guess it was probably you guys.
Holland is a
Something of
city in
note?
Michigan.
Did something happen of note in Holland? I don't remember talking about it.
I honestly don't remember the context, but I know we've talked about it. You got to go to Holland,
that's
Michigan.
weird. Sweet. All right, well, I'm there. Well,
So
thanks,
I think
guys,
you
for
might
your...
have You might have been talking about the country, and then somehow Holland, Michigan got brought up, or you were looking up something about Holland, and
it was It was what's the deal with, and it was something that was happening in Holland. But someone had said Michigan, and I looked it up, and Holland, Michigan was a real place.
I remember that. I do remember that. Well, speaking of games, should we play a game?
Let's play a game, or if we could start with mine, which isn't really a game so much as a discussion. Some points of discussion. So I'm going to call this point of discussion facts that we shouldn't care about. I am a bit of a trivia person, and I love learning new facts that mean absolutely nothing to anyone. So I want to discuss some facts that I found, which are completely useless, and we can all decide whether these facts are worth knowing or not. Does that make sense? So just kind of whether this fact is important and is even useless enough to be worth knowing.
This
sounds good.
This sounds like some of the information we've learned on the Topic Please podcast from this I Wish I Didn't Know Family Edition game. Because there's some random stuff that's like, I don't know why that's on here. It's interesting, but I will never need this information in my life.
And I wish I didn't know it.
So there's a theme. I've decided to go with a theme for this one. The theme's going to be numbers. So these are facts about numbers that are completely useless, and we get to decide whether they're useful in their uselessness. First of which being, there's no number between 1 and 999 that has the letter A in it. What? Oh, you didn't let me finish. No number between 1 and 999 has the letter A in it.
When spelled out, you're saying?
When spelled out, yeah.
Huh. That's interesting.
235 does not have the letter A in it.
Well, the way you said it does.
It does, yeah.
You said 235. Oh. That has an A. 235 doesn't.
Okay, good point. 235 doesn't.
Aaron's just blowing holes in this.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, you have to get to 1,000.
1,000, which has 1,000 has an A in it, but
interesting.
It is facts like this are weird because then you try and think of one that's an exception, but in this case there are literally 999 things that you have to go through to see if there's an exception, and there just isn't an exception.
Yeah. Wow. So that's worth knowing. That's like a good party trivia, right?
Or if you're like me and you spell out a lot of things and you go to spell a word, you know that the letter A isn't in it if you go to spell out a number. So
that's true.
I think that's useful. Is that interesting enough to bring up at a party though, Aaron?
I don't know. I mean, I think it could come in handy if you were on some game show and that happened to be a question.
That is you'll find with a lot of these
up
facts.
On Jeopardy or something.
Yeah, that's the only really useful time. Like, I used to live my life convinced I was one day going to be on Cash Cab, and I was just going to make bank because I'm just going to remember every useless fact ever. And then, yeah. Which, by the way, that guy's name was Ben.
Still haven't been on Cash Cab.
Still have not been on Cash Cab. Still have not been in a New York taxi cab, which would have greatly increased my chances of being on Cash Cab. But whatever. Moving on to fact number 2. Of all Disney characters, Mulan has the highest kill count.
Of all Disney characters?
Of all Disney characters.
She, like, massacres a whole army. That's fair.
Yeah, I guess there's not really a lot of death in most Disney movies.
That's true. And I'm guessing this is solely, like, proprietary Disney characters. Because, like, Darth Vader, probably technically a Disney character now. But, so I'm guessing this is just...
But even on screen, he maybe kills, like, a dozen people, if that.
He blows up Tatooine.
Like, on screen, Well, technically that was Grand Moff Tarkin or the guy who hit the button. Depends on.
Okay,
who
then what
you-
about Grand
I was
Moff
gonna
Tarkin?
say he just gave the order, not.
That's true.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Does it? I
So
guess
now
there's
we're
no way to determine how many she
defending
killed.
Darth Vader.
Let me see if I
Never
can.
thought I'd be defending Darth
Yeah.
Vader.
Let me see
Darth Vader versus Mulan.
if I can give you the exact number that Mulan is credited with murdering. But of all
Man,
like
that-
Disney princess characters, who would you think would also have a lot of just murders?
I want to say the chick from Brave.
Oh,
It's the only one I can think of.
Meredith?
Oh, Merida.
Merida.
Yeah. I've not
Yeah, did
seen
she-
that movie, so I'm really not sure. But
I don't even know if she killed anybody, but she had that bow and arrow, so
That's true.
yeah, I can't think of. There's not a whole lot of death. There's usually like the main villain falls off something, but there's not a whole lot of death.
Well, if I think about like
But Mulan, man,
Tangled, that little chameleon basically kills the mom.
oh yeah, doesn't he like trip her or something?
And she falls out a window. So Pascal, the chameleon, also technically on this list.
There's one.
Useful fact to know. I think that would be something interesting to bring up in a trivia night or at a party.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially if you're among like Disney fans. It's like, hey, which Disney character has the highest kill count? Like that's a good topic of discussion. That'll last like 2 or 3 minutes.
Do you think
tops.
Molly would like that one?
We'll have to ask
Okay.
her. I'll ask her and see what she says.
see, stuff like these random topics, like these are the kinds of things one of us would learn one day and then bring up around the dinner table and spark a
Yeah.
random conversation.
Speaking of random things, 2 is the only even prime number, and 2 and the numbers 5 are the only prime numbers that end in 2 and 5.
Oh,
See, I knew that. I didn't
That
think of it
also-
as
that
like an
makes sense.
interesting fact because any number that has a 2 in it is divisible by 2, and any number that has a 5 is divisible by 5.
Except for the number 2.
Right. Except for 2 and 5.
Except for 2 and 5. Because 5 is also a prime number.
so Aaron's saying that one's not
Aaron is
interesting.
anti that one.
I feel
What else
like
you got?
maybe if you were sitting around with a bunch of mathematicians or something, but then they'd look at you like, yeah, everybody knows
Yeah.
that. Shut up.
Yeah, that one, yeah, I'll take that. What about this one? 0 is the only number that can't be represented with Roman numerals.
Is there no Roman numeral for 0?
There's no Roman numeral for 0.
What do? They just
Well-
don't draw anything?
Well, there was no Super Bowl 0, so they didn't have to make up a Roman numeral for it.
That's the only use of Roman numerals anymore.
That's the only reason we have Roman numerals.
Well, possibly in a numbered list, but then there's not a
Wait.
0 list
Yeah, there's
item,
no
so-
0 bullet. So
Yeah,
there is
unless
no...
you're coding, and then you got to start with 0. I think I'm going to develop a programming language that instead of using numbers, you have to use Roman numerals.
I think
Like
everyone
that's
will
the
use
quirk.
it. That's the quirk. Are coding languages based on quirks? Like, I'm going to make a coding language. What's its quirk?
This one's standout feature is it uses Roman numerals instead of numbers.
Right? It seems
one
like
is-
they
this-
all have one. I don't know if that's what they were based on or if it was on purpose, but it seems like they all have something that's like, why does this do this that way? That doesn't
Yeah,
make
it does.
sense.
Oh,
It's
you're
like-
trying to count to 10? No, you got to type in X.
Right? It's like personally, I don't know. I like Python for some of the stuff that it can do, but the way it decides, instead of using brackets, it uses tabs and spacings and new lines. I'm like, it's weird. Give
Very
me my
weird.
brackets. I like my brackets.
Aaron and his brackets. Always talking about his
4.
brackets.
This is number 6. 4 is the only number spelled with the same number of letters as itself. So
Yep.
it has 4 letters
like
in
doing-
it, and it's 4.
I would say I
Wow.
think 7 and 8 are about the closest that come to that, but
Yeah, 7 has 5, EIGH. Yeah, they both have 5.
2 has
4
3.
has 4. 3 has 4.
5.
Wait, 3 has 5. This is one of the more confusing conversations I've ever had. Negative 40 is the only temperature that is the same in Fahrenheit as it is in Celsius.
Oh, I remember that. Because I remember having to do like the formulas to transpose Celsius to Fahrenheit and vice versa. And whenever it was negative 40, I was like, great. It's a freebie.
Great, it's negative 40.
Trying to trick me.
I think this one's the closest to seeming useful. However, if I'm somewhere and it's negative 40, I'm already dead. So, not very useful to me.
Like, when you get down to a certain negative temperature, it's just cold. It doesn't really matter what the number is.
Because if someone was like, oh, if I say it's negative 40 and someone says Fahrenheit or Celsius, it's not going to matter. It's cold.
Right? I do remember, I think it was last winter, though, it was like we got to a point where it was like negative, I forget what the negative got down to. And then, once it got up to like 28 degrees, it felt very warm.
Yeah. I very much hate the month of February. Most months I can tolerate. I hate the month of February because the holidays are over. It's no longer fun, cold. Like, ooh, it's like Christmas time. Look at all the snow falling down. And it's just like...
Ben, are you single? Because I think if you are, I figured out why. You just said there's no holidays in February because they're over. Maybe that's the problem.
There is one holiday that may be also contributing to why I hate the month of February.
What about Groundhog Day?
Maybe subconsciously.
President's Day.
Yeah, how could I forget President's Day?
You're killing me. All the holidays are over in February. There's so many.
Nothing good happens in February.
I formally apologize to all the presidents that I just...
What about the groundhogs, man?
Well, that's another thing. I guess Groundhog Day's not that dumb. But, like, the weather in February...
I liked that movie.
That's a great movie. Bill Murray's Groundhog Day? High quality.
I loved it.
Those are all the interesting facts about numbers I have. Next party that you guys go to, because I know you all would be party animals, are you bringing up any of those? Which one was your favorite?
Well, I'm going to a dinner tonight with some friends, and I'm definitely going to bring up the Disney one. I think
the Mulan one?
That's the standout. Yeah.
That's the standout. Okay.
It's going to make me the coolest person at the party, I'm pretty sure.
Well, I'm happy I could help. Aaron, what about you?
I don't know. I would think it'd probably have to be the Disney one, because I think out of all of them, that would be the one that people might find the most interesting.
Well, I personally am sticking with my 2 and 5 are the only prime numbers that end with 2 and 5 because even though Aaron didn't like it, I thought it was cool.
It's a hill Ben will die on.
It's a hill I will die on.
Like his
I stand by choosing that one for my list.
Well, I know we're kind of at the end of the show, but my game is timely, and it won't be timely next week on November 1st when that episode releases.
And you can cut out as much of my not very interesting fun facts about numbers as possible.
No, the numbers were great. We're going to play a quick game because we do have to acknowledge that it is Halloween next week. And one of my favorite things to do is go wander around like the local Spirit Halloween, which is usually in the abandoned mall area. You can always find a Halloween store popping up at your local abandoned mall. And, you can pay for the $30 costume that is branded and licensed and all that, or you can go find the really cheap alternatives that look exactly the same, but they're not quite labeled the same. And for instance, I was looking at one earlier today that I think it was a little wizard girl, and it was Harmony Granner or something like that. It was like
yes,
it was close. It wasn't quite right, but I have a list of names of knockoff costumes that I'm going to give you guys, and you have to tell me what pop culture character this costume is trying to be. So you won't get to see any pictures, you'll just get the names. So I'm going to take turns. Aaron, you're going to get to go first. with let's see. We'll start with Mr. Smile. What pop culture character do you think is Mr. Smile?
Mr. Smile. I don't know. I'm thinking. I don't know. There's so many like horror movies I've not seen. I'm thinking like that Jigsaw or Pennywise. I'm going to say Pennywise.
All right, Pennywise. That's a very good guess. Unfortunately, it is the Joker from Batman.
Mr. Smile.
Who is also a clown. So you're real close.
I would have gotten it wrong too. My guess was going to be Mr. Clean.
Ooh, that is a legitimate Halloween costume.
He has
my
nice
initial
smile.
thought was like the big smiley face from Walmart. But I was like, surely that's not it.
Ben, moving on to you. Hungry Rebel Girl.
Oh, I've seen this one. It's our good friend Katniss Everdeen from the Hunger Games.
That is correct. It is Katniss Everdeen, the Hungry Rebel Girl.
I
Not
would
the
have guessed
Hunger
Harley
Games.
Quinn.
Oh, yeah.
You said
All
Rebel
right,
Girl. I was thinking Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I guess that works too. It totally depends, like without the picture. Like with the picture, it's real obvious to me, but I'm always interested to see. I was quizzing Jesse earlier to kind of test some of the questions. Aaron, 80s purple musician.
80s purple musician. See, I'm thinking either Prince or the one-eyed, one-horned flying purple people eater. I'm going to go with Prince.
That was going to be my guess.
And you are correct. That is a Prince costume. 80s purple musician.
And the one-eyed, one-horned flying purple people eater would fit there too. So
That's
Never
true. Either
heard
one.
of that.
really?
It's a song, yeah.
Oh, is
It's
it?
a song. It was a movie.
Oh.
Yeah, he played
I don't think I
music
knew
out
it
of
was
his
a movie.
horn. Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, Dustin Diamond in his younger years, before he was Screech, I believe, played in that movie.
Oh.
Man. We'll have to look this up. Sounds like we need to have a movie night.
We could live stream it.
All right,
Along
Ben.
with Alien.
Double feature.
Double feature.
Ben, supportive burger wife.
Oh. What's the mom from Bob's Burgers? What's her name? The mom from Bob's Burgers.
I'll give it to you. It is the mom from Bob's Burgers.
Okay.
Her name is Linda, I guess.
That's right.
So, supportive burger wife. That brings Ben up 2-1. All right, Aaron. Pubescent frog of Silent War.
Oh. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
That is correct.
Silent
Pubescent
War?
was the only reason that I got that. I was like, well, that's teenager. I was like, oh, ninjas are silent.
Oh.
Yeah,
Why
frogs
it's
are
a
like
frog,
turtles.
I don't know.
Pubescent frog of Silent War.
Is that like
I really like that
Battletoads?
one.
A mixture of Battletoads and TMNT.
Yeah, it is kind of more Battletoads. All right, that's 2-2. Back to Ben. Ben, mischievous worker.
Mischievous worker? That's very
That's
general.
all you get. It is.
Mischievous worker. I'm gonna guess. Why not? Oh man, I have no idea. Literally, the only idea that has come to mind is Elf on the Shelf.
So I was coming up with like, well, naughty nurse, naughty police, naughty naughty stuff, because that's like a big thing around Halloween, but it's not really branded, so I don't think that would be that much of an issue.
I guess Elf on the Shelf.
All right, the answer is a minion from Despicable Me. But the costume is really sad. It's overalls and a yellow shirt. Like there's no goggles, it's a very weak effort.
Mischievous worker.
All right. All right, so it's now tied after 3 rounds, 2-2. Aaron, Witch Hunter Gary.
Witch Hunter Gary. I want to say the name Jack is in there somewhere. But Witch Hunter, I can't think of like a name for that other than Witch Hunter. Wasn't there something that Vin Diesel played in, or one of those guys that...
You're thinking of The Pacifier.
No, not The Pacifier. There was some movie where like that's what this guy did, and I can't think of the name of that movie.
Hansel and Gretel.
I'm pretty sure Jack is in the name of that movie, though.
Jack and the
For
Beanstalk.
whatever reason.
So this is, and maybe neither of you have seen this, but this is The Witcher, Geralt from The Witcher.
Oh,
which was
yeah, that's not where I was
a
going.
video game, and then now it's a Netflix TV show with Henry Cavill, however you say that. So it is his face, like this is him in the picture, but it's Witch Hunter Gary.
Never
All right,
heard of it.
Back to Ben. Ben, Stripey Boy.
Is it Waldo?
It is Waldo.
Yay, we found him.
Ben takes the lead 3-2. All right, Aaron, Lost Man.
Lost Man?
It could still honestly be Waldo.
Yeah. I don't know. Lost Man. That's really, I'm only coming up with Waldo. Like, that's the
I have a
lost guy
thought.
that everybody tries to find.
Maybe I'm trying to be tricky. Maybe it's Waldo again.
That's really all I can think of.
It
Unless
is
it's
Waldo again.
I'm saying unless it was the Invisible Man, but
It is Waldo again. All right, it's 3-3. We'll do one more round each and see if this will get us where we need to go. All right. Aaron again. Nah, I'm not going to do that one. A lad in a costume.
a lad in a costume.
That's correct.
Is it what I think it is?
I don't know. If Aaron doesn't get it, Ben, I'll give you the chance to take it for the win.
I keep thinking the man in the iron mask, but I really don't think that's it. A lad in a costume.
So if it's what I think it is, say it really quickly.
I'm going to go with the man in the iron mask. That's all I can really think of.
All right, Ben, do you have another guess?
I have a guess. I think it's Aladdin.
It is Aladdin. It is Aladdin, a costume.
It's
Aladdin,
a costume.
Play on words.
I'm going to give
Time's the
the
pun
game
master.
to Ben 4-3. Yeah, this is really fun. I might post all these pictures on the website because the costumes are pretty fun to look at. So you can get some ideas for Halloween if you want to budget this year and, don't pay for the Disney Aladdin costume. Just buy the Aladdin a costume.
That's why I was saying to say it quickly. Aladdin a costume.
Yeah, I thought you were telling Noah to tell you what the answer was quickly.
No. I was telling you to say it quickly.
But in between turns, I did find the movie I was thinking of for the Witch Hunter, and it was The Last Witch Hunter.
Oh.
And it's got Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Like
funny. I've
that
never heard of
was what I was thinking of.
Vin Diesel, The Last Witch Hunter. Huh. I've never heard of that. Interesting.
Me neither.
You're just going to have
Add
a
it to
heck
the
of a
movie
movie
list.
night. The Last Witch Hunter, Purple People Eater.
We got a lot of
The
movies to go watch now, Ben.
Glob go gab galab.
Alien.
La La Land.
We'll watch Michael's reaction to Alien.
Alien. It's going to be a great night. Thank you all so much for listening. I was so happy to have you around. Congratulations to me on winning a game. Congratulations to Noah for being here. And thank you to Aaron for coming along and joining us this week. Make sure you go check out the Topic Please podcast. Where can that be found, Aaron?
At topicplease.com.
topicplease.com.
And most of your
thank
podcast
you.
players. We're all over the place.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and coming to you live this week from
My garage.
Is
Come over, give us a listen.
from Aaron's garage. You can listen live from Aaron's garage. But thank you all so much for being here. You guys are the true winners because we're all winners here. So thank you all so much, and we'll talk to you next week. Later.
Bye.